Welcome to another episode of Signal 11 Outdoors Podcast. Today we got a really special guest, Anthony Virga from New Jersey, renowned in the turkey hunting world. Would you say that, Ant, or no? I know I would.
Nobody. I love turkey 365 days a year. That's just what I do. I just love turkeys. Love talking about turkeys, and I'm glad you have me on here for this. Been a long time coming. You
Good.
know,
Yeah, and believe me, I know I'm happy to do this with you, and the people who are about to watch this are going to probably learn a whole bunch of stuff from you. So this is great. I would like to start out if we could. We got a lot of things to cover. Basically, we're going to cover all turkey.
yeah.
And down the road, if we want to get, as we get closer to deer season, we could always have you back. It'd be great.
Oh
Talk
yeah.
deer
Yeah.
tactics.
Yeah.
But here we are. This is being recorded April 17th, I think it is. We're creeping into New Jersey turkey hunting. It opened up in a lot of other states, or some other states, I should say. So, first thing I want to cover, because I've actually gotten some feedback leading up to this time of year, people asking me about what's going on with the new regulations. What are some thoughts? Obviously, I'm not really looking for hardcore opinions either way, but just to
Yeah.
bounce it off of you because you've been doing this a lot longer than I have. So let's just start right off with the new regulations for 2025 for turkey. What can you tell us?
So I mean, there's a few that I'm not even really, not too familiar with. I know the fall one. I get a lot of questions on that. The way I look at it is, I mean, there's some been a lot of negativity towards it. Some people I'm seeing on there, but the whole deal with the population of the wild turkey, in my opinion, it's there's been some pretty good pockets this year. Like the last few years have been pretty decent as far as hatch wise, but it's the perfect storm when it comes to the wild turkey and how they survive. Right? It's predation. It's us. It's habitat. It's obviously there's some sicknesses, some avian flus out there, and sicknesses have always been around, but it happened all at that. I don't want to say at one time, but in the last say decade, the populations. I don't know statistics have gone down 60% in some states, sometimes even more than that. But as far as fall goes, I mean it's a plus. I mean, yeah, there's not many birds shot in the fall, but you're giving some hens a chance to live and carry a brood the following year. So I mean, I think it's a positive. I think it's a step in the right direction. See a lot of hemming and hollering about it on there, but I don't even think some of the guys that are complaining even fall hunt. But no, I honestly think it's a step in the right direction. I mean, I would personally like to see a drop in tags. I mean, you can shoot a bird a day, technically in New Jersey, if you have those tags. Um, I like to see two. I think New York personally has one of the best season sets and regulations. Two birds. The month of May gives those turkeys a chance to do their breeding. A lot of those hens can get on nests just about when the season starts up, giving them a chance to get bred by the gobblers and whatnot. I think that's a pretty good follow that kind of a regulation set. But no, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see the afternoon hunting. I think we get a lot of questions on that. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think they should close it a little bit earlier so guys aren't just sitting roosts. You know what I mean? But we sit roosts in the morning, so that's always been an argument on that from a few folks. But no, I just think there's a few things that have to be done, and it's not going to happen overnight. So the fall is a step in the right direction. Is it going to make a difference? It'll make a small difference. You know, but it's something. It's something we need
I
it.
agree. It's one of the few times I can agree with what they're doing.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of times I don't. Does New York have a fall season as well?
I think they still do. I think they still do. Now, fall, it's hard to see some states close their fall, like Pennsylvania. I mean, a lot of the pioneers of turkey hunting, Arkansas, Pennsylvania, Missouri, those are in Ohio. Brett Barry's a really well known. Actually, I want to try to get out there turkey hunting with him in the fall out in Ohio and Western PA. And Josh Grossenbacher, a good friend of mine. You're talking like there's some heritage there, and I don't want to see that. A lot of those guys take it serious out there with the dogs and whatnot. But for us here, like I mean, I think it's it's probably a good thing here. But
I agree with you, Ant. I mean, I'm going to tell you from my perspective of it. When I guess I've probably been hunting turkeys close to 20 years, or just a shade under that, maybe probably about 20, because actually started with a friend of mine, Kevin, who's hunted turkeys forever, or as long as you could hunt turkeys in Jersey. He's been hunting turkeys, and totally different. I mean, leading up to the season, I never really had to do too much scouting because I'd be driving around Sussex County, and every field in the mornings would have a couple birds, you know, some more than others, you know, and you just kind of rolled to a stop, listened,
yeah,
you know, just kind of, you got excited. And I got to be honest with you, the areas I hunt, which is mostly Sussex County in New Jersey, you didn't really drive around much, especially in the mornings or the late afternoons, without seeing birds.
yeah,
Now,
definitely
I
changed.
don't know if I've seen any birds this year yet.
It's definitely changed. And we were just talking about that. A good friend of mine. I hunt in South Jersey quite a bit. You know, the habitat is. I mean, there's tons of birds down there, but it used to be way back, and you probably remember this, late '80s, '90s, where the guys would come up here in the north zones and buy the tags and hunt the north. We used to have tons of turkeys. And yeah, I remember those days. I was in high school, like 2004, I graduated high school. So those 2004, 2005, 2006, you know, I used to call it the loop over here where I grew up, and I would just take this 5 mile loop, and I would really just kind of scout a whole month before the season. Not even a month. I mean, like 2 weeks before the season, you'd have 6, 7, 8 gobblers, kind of like, okay, they're here, and you'd be able to hunt. It's hard here. I mean, it's. I'm not seeing many either. I know, like I said, there's pockets, and it's historical pockets. They're just good topography, good habitat. Habitat is key. I mean, you know, I know the NWTF pushes it a lot, and guys just say, "Oh, that's just NWTF pushing." Habitat's key. It really is. And I'm gonna give this real quick example on that. So you have tons of predators, right? Everyone's like predation. I get that. So my uncle Keith has property in New York where basically I grew up. And again, I'll make a short thing of this. Tons of
Take your
predation.
time.
Probably more predation there than there is here. But we have tons of turkeys. The one thing he has up there is phenomenal habitat. If you have phenomenal habitat, and Luke Gambale talks about this a lot in South Jersey, he's big on habitat, and he's right. Habitat is key. Predation comes, that's great, weather, but habitat, you have to have habitat. They're just cutting fields, cutting hedgerows. We are losing a lot of habitat. And he'd be a good person to have on too one day. I can get you set up with him. He's real big with the NWTF in New Jersey and where it's coming, stuff like that. But habitat's key. Without a doubt, habitat is key. But you'd be able to just, you know, it's hard. It's hard to find 1 or 2 dollars.
It is.
But it's Mother Nature. I think it's eventually gonna, you know, I think back late '90s, mid '90s. That's when it was like when there's birds everywhere. We had a lot of birds then. You know, maybe this is where we're supposed to be. You know, but it's. I mean, it's definitely it hurts. I mean, it definitely hurts. We used to and I take a lot of people out. We might kill 15 birds a year, or even just say 10 birds a year, New Jersey, New York, PA. I mean, I usually just kill 1 or 2, but I'll have some buddies that might kill 2 here, but it definitely hurts. But I mean, it's rewarding. It does make it very rewarding. It makes
does.
it a better hunter. It does. But I think it's Mother Nature evolving. I mean, I'm just trying to stay positive with it.
Yeah, you have to.
But
You have to.
we can help with habitat. And again, the state, you guys can blame the state. You see all this Facebook, all these. I call it barstool biology. But there are things you can do on private land and whatnot, but habitat's key. And again, it goes back to what I was saying. It's the perfect storm. We had just tons of tags, more turkey hunters, which is a good thing. You know, the sport's growing, but you know, we're killing a lot of birds. And again, habitat predation, weather. It's been a lot of really wet, cold springs. You know, those first 2-3 weeks, and pulse. You get a 45-degree cold rain in the beginning of May, their chances are slim to none. And then she'll go for a second brood attempt, and that might not be as good as the first brood, you know. So she starts. It's not the wild turkey. I think it's like 50-something days where they're most crucial, you know. Being in the egg for 28 days, then going into the first 3, 4 weeks, I mean, there's a lot of things I want to kill them. But going back to like you said, it's hard to just you're not seeing many birds. You're just not. But that's where we're at.
Well, that's where we're at. So, like again, we're talking about why the new regulations here, and I think you hit it right on the head. It's perfect storm. You have to do something. It's good to see that they are trying to do something.
Yeah.
And if they do this for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and we see a huge difference, well, then everybody will be okay with it.
It's a start.
You know.
It's a start. I'm almost positive. I'm not. I'm almost positive there's going to be more adjustments. You got states like Oklahoma. I think it's one bird. We used to be able to kill 3 or 4 there. I hunt a lot of Rios, as you know. Our season down there it opened up March for Texas, but I think Texas went from 4 to 2. Don't quote me on that, but a lot of states are doing that. I know. What was the one state in the South? They just changed it as well. But that was a big deal too. I want to say Tennessee might have been changed. But traditional hunting states. But no, I think New Jersey's going to follow. I really do.
Probably. I mean, at this point, with the amount of birds that I actually see and the amount of properties that I could hunt,
Yeah.
I'm happy to take for myself. I'm happy to take a bird.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely happy after I take a bird or before I take a bird to hunt with other guys to get them a bird, however I help them.
Yeah.
And then my son, I always try to get my son on a bird, which time is tough for him. So so for me, once I get that first bird, I'm good. I mean,
Yeah.
I did it every day.
Right.
Me and my hunting partner hunted every day, every week.
Yeah.
Unless it was a torrential downpour or something odd came up. But and we were mostly running and gunning, 3.5 to 5 miles.
Oh yeah. You cover some ground.
Yeah, covering ground. I mean, now they'd have to wheel me out and they'd have to bring me in a jet sled because I couldn't do it. But we were rocking and rolling, man. I would lose like 15, 20 pounds during turkey season because.
Oh, yeah.
And my friend Kevin, who's definitely gonna be watching this, I tell him pretty much every video I do, there's some kind of reference to him because me and him have been hunting together. We're like the odd couple, We started out like the odd couple, but we work well together, and
Yeah.
we like each other's thinking, And but the bottom line is that's how he taught me. I never turkey hunted. I grew up until about 20 years ago, never even thought about going after turkey, and. Boy, am I glad I met him and he took me. I got him back into the tree stand and stuff because he hunted his whole life.
Side of thing, yeah. Yep.
He got me into the turkey and he taught me well, and I appreciate it because I've now passed it on to my son.
Exactly.
And these kids today though they research stuff like crazy. Where we had to buy a magazine,
I know.
or an LP and listen to a long play or cassettes. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
I've made some of my best friends who are big time deer hunters, like into like diehard turkey hunters. And I just think the whole demographic around a game species like the wild turkey. I mean, you had your duck hunters, and I just think deer camp is one thing, but just turkey hunting. I think it's the time of year, the spring. It's a magical time of year. It really is. I might just say because I'm obsessed, but no, I just think wild turkeys brought more people together. But yeah, it's like you said with your buddy there, my buddy Jason and he's one of my best friends. We hunt a lot together, cover some ground together, and we both have that same kind of mentality, with hunting turkeys. It's having that partner there hunting, and even a lot of my buddies we film with Kyle and Cole at the show and whatnot, and guys in Real Tree all kind of have a good understanding, what everyone's moves are going to be, and calling and just spending time together and stuff like that. Like it's a good fit, and turkey hunting does that. I mean, it's hard to not find that,
Yeah, I agree. And touching on what you said, it's not just because you're obsessed with it, because we know you're obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it. Probably not at the level you are because you're traveling all over. We'll get into all of that. But the time of year, you find, deer hunting ends, you get through usually the nasty end of the winter. You get out there, and what you see during turkey season when you're sitting there and whether you're oh yeah, I mean, fawns, tucked in, and just the deer look different. Everything looks different that time of year, So it's really a great time to be out there. And I say this all the time to people. it's right now is probably one of the tougher times to actually get out and be successful at turkey hunting, especially if you're not doing it with somebody who can really help you and teach you, just because of the numbers being down. But you still got to try it. They got to try it, because that first spring gobble, when you're sitting in that, just getting to legal light, man, and the hair on the back of your neck stands up, it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and I think we all remember our first gobbles, our first experiences with it, you know. But it's, I mean, right, like you said, right now it's kind of hard, you know. But I think people have gotten into it and kind of quit pretty quick with the way that the population's been and stuff like that. But no, I mean, we always remember. I mean, I was 6 years old when I remember my first gobble, and yeah, no, you definitely remember it for sure.
Yeah, my son tells a good story. We had a prime spot for a while, when prime spots were prime and the other spots were all good.
Yeah.
So we you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like that anymore.
And
But
now you have a plan B. And now you have a
yeah, exactly.
L.
I had him in a prime spot his first year hunting, and he you know, I was calling from kind of behind him on an angle, and so it was really hard, because he saw birds that I didn't see yet. So
Yeah.
he was like a statue already, and he unloaded 3 shots, and I actually put a shelf behind me. I'm going to put his shells up there. He unloaded 3 20 gauges, and I had to flip him extra shells, because I'm like, here, throw another one in there, you know? And he didn't get anything that day, but he was addicted.
Oh
He
yeah.
was addicted.
It's crazy. It really
It was
is.
all over.
Just that gobble, hearing that gobble so close, or even the spitting drum really close. I mean, you can hear a spitting drum, heck, 50 yards, you know, if things are quiet, and I mean, just that'll get you going, or when they're really, really close, you know, 10, 15 yards. I mean, I still get, you know, I love every minute of it.
No, no doubt. We're going to get into some of the advanced stuff that you're doing and stuff, but before we do, just real quick, I want to hear. I'm just going to say my advice. I just want to get some advice for a new turkey hunter. Somebody maybe they've been around the block with deer hunting or you know, whatever, duck hunting, whatever, but they never turkey hunted. My only advice is, I really can't give much advice. My advice is, get hooked up with somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Leave all your calls at all the eBay calls at home, and go and learn and listen to what this person says. And to me, that's how I learned. But I want you, just do me a favor, hit a couple things that maybe a new turkey hunter could do.
For me, I mean, and I tell people this all the time, like you just said, get with somebody who's hunted. But there's also a ton of information out there on YouTube. A lot of guys like Chad Claycomb, another good friend of mine out in PA, and he has a lot of there's a lot of good videos, just good video platforms out there. As far as wild turkey footage, I mean, that's a start to me. You get some calls that you can run, or you kind of comfortable running. Box call, start with that. Mouth call, I mean, it's hands free. You're gonna eventually want to, don't wait, get mouth call and start getting proficient with it. But just get some calls you're comfortable running, right? And like I said, there's so much out there on, you know, you want to sound like a wild turkey, you have to watch wild turkeys. But that's the biggest thing. There's so much out there on social media and a bunch of platforms. YouTube, there's a lot of how-tos. A buddy of mine, Shane Simpson, he does a lot of how-tos and tutorials and stuff like that. And he does some stuff on MTF too. There's a ton of it out there. There really is. If you can't find that somebody you could, tag along with and whatnot, there's nothing wrong with teaching yourself, but it is hard. But you should, if you can't find anybody, like I said, there's a ton of it out there. Good turkey vest, good seat, and just be prepared to get your butt whooped. I mean, it's going to happen. We're still getting our butts whooped. We just got back from Alabama. We had 3 really good days, and then one day that was like, what the heck just happened? We just got our butts whooped. But no, there's a lot out there. There's books out there still. There's some good writers out there still. But like you said, try to get with somebody that you could tag along with. But there's a lot out there. There's so much out there. We dog social media and dog YouTube and stuff, but there's a lot of good that comes out of that.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I now that I think about it, the first pot call I grabbed or purchased or somebody gave me, I don't remember. That's what I did. I got on YouTube and I said, well, I think it was a slate call, which I still love using. But I was able to kind of watch some YouTube videos and make some different sounds. But I'll tell you something I'll tell you a pitfall that got me, and then you actually bailed me out. I'll tell everybody how. I went and bought a kit. All right, I already had a pot call. I had a mouth call or 2 or 3, all kinds of thinking about what I bought. I mean, I had no idea what I was buying.
Oh yeah.
But for my son, way before he could hunt, he got a little starter kit, right? So I took the mouth call away. I didn't want him choking, but he got an owl hoot. He got a pot call, and a CD.
Yep.
So, and I forgot what brand it was, but it was, it was on a wall of a store, so I bought it. So I took that CD from me, and he was like 8 years old. It was like a Christmas gift, whatever.
Yeah.
Like almost like a novelty type of thing, Want to be like Dad. So I took that CD, and I got to tell you, I must listen to that CD 150 times, and I forgot who it was, but however they were explaining how exactly you have to do the mouth call, I'm thinking there's no other way. If your tongue doesn't do this and it doesn't feel like that, it doesn't fit this way. Well, eventually you gave me a CD that is just natural calls, correct?
Yeah. That's just
I don't know.
They're all wild turkey recordings. Brad Taylor, Treetop Turkeys.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's I had a couple I've given out to some of my buddies and stuff, and actually I still listen to it today. You can look it up. Spotify's got it.
Okay.
I'm still constantly listening to turkeys. Back footage we had, and even just a bunch of footage you see, and back to that CD. I mean, that thing's always running. But you can get it on Spotify, I think. Treetop Turkeys and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm going to pop it up on here, like a little picture of it, because I got that CD from you, and it has no instruction on it. It's just real natural birds,
Real turkeys, just going doing
real turkeys, and owls and everything, and it's awesome. And that thing's always in my truck. And then this time of year, I actually still have a CD player in my truck. That CD is in there, and I got the call in the side of my door, and that thing is played every day. And I just try to mimic the sounds.
It sound like the real thing. I mean,
yeah.
But there is, again, there's woodsmanship there's woodsmanship that has to be in there too. Some calling buddies kind of get on me a little bit about it, but I still think it's like 80% woodsmanship, 20% calling. A lot of guys are like, no, it's 75% calling. It roots 20%. You got to be a good woodsman. You got to be in the right spot. But you do want to be a good caller. You want to be proficient calling. You want it to sound like the real thing. But what that CD.
I've learned nothing on my own. That CD is the only thing that I got from you that I actually use, like not the only thing I got from you, but it was a key item.
Yeah.
Everything else I kind of got from my friend. The vantage points, whether you want to be on the same level, you don't want to work a bird, down to you, bring them up or get level, how to move on a bird, how to be careful you don't bump them, and all the sign, tons of sign in the woods.
And you need that now. You need the sign now because turkeys aren't gobbling on a limb as much. And again, that's a regional thing. But I think for the evening, like we're going out tomorrow night for Youth Day Saturday. I plan on just kind of hunting traditional spots, and I don't usually roost too much anymore. Kind of pick a spot when I go in the morning. I start there, and I just run and gun. If I could roost, I'll go for it. But they don't gobble much on the limb, and I don't know if it's more towards predation. There's not many birds here, not hearing many.
Right.
But sign is a big deal for scouting and getting boots on the ground. There's spots where I haven't heard any turkeys, but I kind of traditionally know they were there. I'm gonna scout it. Hey, there's some scratching here. I might come here. Try tomorrow, or the next day. Lo and behold, birds are there. Might not be vocal, but you're going off that sign. It's just like deer hunting, But there's tons of sign.
Right.
Back to like in the fields, not seeing birds in the fields. That's not always a sign that they're not there. Typical acorn crop, mass crop years, that following spring, there's so much. If you move those leaves around like turkeys are doing naturally, there's so much remnants of acorns and mass like that. There's been times where I've had pastures and field properties that I didn't see any turkeys in there the entire 4 or 5 weeks of the season. They're all tucked in the woods. Great acorn mass the year before, the fall before. So, but no sign, like you said, sign is a big deal. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, now if you get in the woods and you learn what to look for, because if you have to learn what to look for, however you learn, whether it's through, like you said, whether it's watching YouTube or reading or a friend,
Yeah.
it's gigantic. Because I mean, sometimes like opening day, my buddy will start out at one spot. We'll start out at like two smaller spots separate, and then we'll get together early. You know, we'll start out in the dark, and then we'll hook up. And we'll talk. What'd you see? Did you see any sign? You know, nothing. I heard nothing. You know, so that's how we're going to start this year. We don't always do that, but so question for you. So you're not really roosting now. So you get set up. Are you starting out in the mornings with owl calls or something, trying to locate them?
I try to let them do their own thing. And I'll tell you this, we just talked about this the other day. My buddy Matt Gardner, one of the producers for Real Tree, they were kind of busting chops. I had this woodpecker call. I'm kind of giving out a little secret here. I love the woodpecker call. I hunt a lot of public land up here. I've heard guys at 5:30 in the morning hammering a crow call, just nonstop. And I've noticed turkeys not really responding too much to it. Is it because of pressure? I don't know. But I try to just let them do their own thing. Try to entice a gobble with an owl call, woodpecker call. But yeah, I'm doing a lot of that. But kind of like I said, let them do their own thing and then make a move. But you want to be a cautious move though. That first move can ruin that entire spot you're hunting. Because next thing you know, birds are flying out of trees, seeing you on a limb. Again, they're not talking as much. So I'm kind of thinking about how I'm getting from point A to point B if I'm not hearing something right off the roost there. But yeah, I'll do some. I'll wait kind of till if I'm positive nothing's within eyesight of me, I will yelp on a box call or a glass call, something with high frequency to get out there. I'll start off light and then I'll hammer it, and then that's about it. I'll wait, nothing, then I'll make my move. I'll try to move just after fly down. A little bit more comfortable. I know they're on the ground. I hope they're on the ground. And then make your move. You know.
Yeah. So you're typically you most of your turkey hunt. If you're just going for yourself, let's say, where you're not setting it up with somebody else, are you pretty much running and gunning, getting in the woods, and always?
Yep.
So you feel successful that way?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I might bump more birds. And patience does kill turkeys. Matt Van Slyce, another good friend of mine, good mentor, one of the best, probably the most decorated caller ever. He's always says patience kills, and he's 100% right. I think the older I get, I'm more patient because there's more experiences I've had, more exposure to it. But I am running and gunning. I mean, some of my buddies we film with, they're always busting me. If Virga's sitting down for more than 10 minutes, there's a bird coming because I'm up and I'm moving. But you got to be smart about it. You know, you got to be smart about that for sure. But running and gunning, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I've only sat in a blind a handful of times, really, and that was only if through scouting we saw birds constantly in a certain field every day.
Yeah.
Then we could, the nice thing about turkey hunting is you can get in there and throw up a blind the day before, 2 days before, and then lay low and then get in the dark.
Morning of, there's been guys doing that and get away with it pretty early, as long as you're quiet and whatnot. But
yeah, and so the running and gunning thing is kind of all I knew. But what I did notice is as we got a little older and we slowed down a little bit, sometimes you'll move a little bit, you don't hear nothing, you move a little, you'll sit down, and really just to kind of rest and listen and take everything in.
Of that. Yeah, no, I will do it.
Yeah,
too. Yep.
And 90% of the time, right before you, I don't want to say 90%, but a lot of times, right before you get up to start moving again, you'll hear something.
Yep.
And sometimes only one of you hear it. The other guy maybe doesn't hear it.
Oh yeah.
You're like, hold on, I heard something. It's
We've
great.
We've done that a lot in the afternoons in like Texas or Oklahoma. We've done that where we'll kind of get to a spot where they're not really roosting there for the evening, but they're kind of setting their ways up, and about 3 or 4 o'clock. We'll sit and we'll light call. Don't go too crazy in the afternoon, but just roll some light calling. Might hear a distant gobble, then we'll move, do the same thing. But yeah. Yeah.
Now,
effective.
are you running and gun with a decoy in your vest or no?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been not trying to get away from decoys, but I want to say, I mean, I don't want to say the decoys have hurt more than they've helped, because that's certainly not true. I've had a lot of really awesome hunts not using a decoy. But no, we'll have a decoy with us, and if we can get it out, we'll get it out. But once green up comes, I ditch the decoy. I'll ditch it.
Yeah, 'cause you can move a little more on 'em.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you can move on. But yeah, I know the decoys. I mean, we tend to carry them more than we use them when we're running and gunning. But
Yeah.
sometimes you may catch them like off of a fire road or something, and you can throw the decoy in a fire road and set up.
Yeah.
But without a doubt, I know I've shot more birds without a decoy than with a
Oh,
decoy.
for sure. For
You
sure.
know, and a lot of times it's when you finally realize, you stop and let them come looking for you.
Yeah.
You know, that's usually
Don't
the
call
most
too much.
successful.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I call a lot less. Again, the older I get, more patient, the more exposure we've had and experiences. But I've called a lot less. I try not to give him too much. I don't want to say information, but I don't want to say too much to him, because if he's coming 35, 40, or you just say he's 60 yards, and I'm calling right to it, that turkey can see, like, I think it's like 8 times better than we can. Right, especially at long distances, and you're just calling with no decoy. You got to be
Right.
careful. We got hit a couple times in Alabama like that, because in Alabama, the first 10 days of the season, you can't use decoys, and we have a full film crew. We got like 2 camera guys, a caller, a hunter, and we got the full boat there. And so, not using a decoy, you got to be really careful with your setup and be really careful with the calling. But I think less calling. In my situations, my circumstances, and experiences I've had, really, really light, it gets him to come in a lot faster. Again, every bird's different. You can't think in turkeys as generalities. Every turkey's different. Like every whitetail's different.
Yeah.
Especially when they hit 5.5, 6.5, it's a completely different animal. But again, you can't really think of them in generalities. Every bird's different.
Yeah, let me just let you elaborate, because I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about what I do and the few skills I have when it comes to call. So you said the lighter. So in other words, instead of laying off the call and you just bring the tone way down.
I won't call as much.
that-
Like I'll just.
You won't call as much?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I'll
When you're saying lighter, I got you.
I'll show you here.
Go ahead.
Got calls everywhere. Like what I'll do, say he's like 80 yards. I know he's coming. He's gobbling pretty decent. I'm not gonna he's coming. There's no reason for me to. I mean, I don't want to. He might think, hey, I'm coming to you, or I'm gonna be on to him, right? So I'll kind of just. Real light. That's it. Mm-hmm. Those little belly yelps.
Yeah.
None of that.
Right.
If you watch turkeys, that's how they are. The hens are just doing their thing. They're little. Real under their breath type yelps, and that's enough to get him thinking, okay, these hens are just meandering around feeding, and then next thing you know, he's there. You start cutting to him, he's going to say they're strut 80 yards back and forth till you show yourself. So I think a lot of that real soft, and again, that's listening to wild turkeys, the little nuances that they do.
What kind of cut is that right there, Andy?
This is the combo cut. I run mainly combos for everything there. It's a pretty versatile call, like a bat is a versatile call. But you can and again, going back to picking a call you can run, get a call you're comfortable with, and try to master that,
I struggle with that type of low, easy, soft calling like that. And you varied it. I can't really vary it that much. I can only do a couple calls. My buddy who I speak about through this whole video, he takes my call. He wants to throw it in dirt and step on it, but yeah, because that's how bad it is. But
my dad will let run a call. I go, don't do that anymore.
yeah. Well, now I see why your buddies say it's more calling than woodsman when you're doing that kind of calling.
Oh yeah, I mean, but it being in a good spot and being ready for it, knowing when to do it's a big thing too.
Sure.
But when we were younger, I mean, we'd cut at him, and there's times where like we've had my buddy called me, hey, cut at him, makes great video, and that might get them fired up to come in, you know. But sometimes I'm just like, nah, we don't want to cut, or go too crazy on them. But a lot of that rolls soft, and and honestly, I wish I could show this hunt. We had a hunt in Texas this year, and we had a bird hang up, probably one of the longest hang ups I've ever had. It was like an hour and 45 minutes. No reason for him not to come into us. He's coming in, he's strutted to 80 yards, 90 yards, 80 yards for an hour and 45 minutes. Every time he actually gained on us, I was just scratching the leaves. You could hear me scratch. And again, I'm scratching like a turkey. Guys just think I'm gonna just do this and make a noise. That's turkeys. If you watch them, you watch her turn. She's eating, she's pecking. So be real. Do the same thing. That turkey moved 5 to 8 yards every single sequence I did to that. And
Really?
he said it in the video. He's like, man, he's coming. And just from doing that, real soft yelps.
Locked in on that.
Amazing, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just amazing. There's in a hunt that we had. This is going back a few years ago, a long time ago actually. Public land. The last day of the season, we had a bird. It was the lightest turkey I've ever shot. It was like 15 pounds, 16 pounds. Had 11.5-inch beard, and the spurs were kind of jagged and broken off at about an inch. So that's an old turkey, breeding, just old, been through it all. I killed that turkey with a fly down, with just a wing.
Right.
All I did.
That's all you did.
Could not. I've hunted that turkey for 3 weeks. A bunch of people hunted that turkey. You call, he turns, gone. All I did was I kind of had a feeling where he was at. This is the last day of the season. It was D week. And I remember just going, that was it. I waited, and all of a sudden, with a wing, I have a wing here. I'll just grab it. Yes, I've had this for, I mean, I was still in high school, but I'll just, if in a spot where I know they're not going to see me.
Yeah. I mean,
30
doesn't get any better.
later, he pitches down, and I shot him at like 20 yards, just with that wing. But again, in a spot where your guys use their hats, but you get a turkey wing, use a wing. It's real. But just little things that amazes me, scratching leaves and the fan, the wing, you know, and killed an old turkey too. I mean, old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about these birds, which we do, but I mean, for somebody who just watched you move that wing, that didn't get the same feeling I did. I watched you do that wing, and in my heart, I'm going, "Damn, I got to get out there! I can't wait."
Yeah,
because that's exactly what you hear.
Yeah, it is.
So for those,
my buddy in Carlos in Texas where we hunt, he last year we were down with him about a month ago. But last year he brought up to me. He's sitting about 5 yards in front of me, and I'm doing like some tree yelps and whatnot, and I do a fly down cackle. I remember Carlos doing this. Like looking up, he thought the bird's right above him, and we were laughing about that when we were down there a month ago.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, if you think about those birds and how they have to survive, what they have to endure and hear to move, to mate, to get to where they got to go, and to avoid everything that's trying to kill them, which is pretty much anything in the woods could kill them.
Right.
That wing is really all they need to hear to know, hey, there's a bird there.
That's it.
That's it.
And I didn't think. I mean, and when he flew down, I didn't even know it was him. I was like, wow. And I knew, because this turkey. I mean, it's a little piece of public land. It's like 50 or 60 acres. I hunted him at least once or twice a week. Same thing. I call and he'd turn and walk, but he didn't even see me. How the heck did this happen? But just a hard pressure turkey. A lot of people say turkeys are stupid. They're able to adapt and form a memory with a lot of this stuff. You know what I mean? But I don't think I give credit.
I've heard that too about, they have a little brain. How could they possibly? The thing is that I don't care how small that brain is. The main purpose of that brain is staying alive, eating and breeding.
Exactly.
They don't really have to worry about a whole lot of other things,
Exactly.
So that little brain is in tune, and the eyesight is ridiculous.
Oh, for sure. Say 8 times or 6 times, whatever the deal is with as far as they can see, and it's distance seeing too. Like everyone's.
Yeah.
I see him. Well, he's probably can see you when you're glass.
Of course.
In the field.
Of course. So when you're out, and if you're out with somebody, right, and let's say you're trying to get them, you're calling for them,
Yeah.
because when you hunt with partners, a lot of times you do that. So, what's like your typical setup? Like if you have a guy that you want to you want that person to get a shot at a bird, you're going to call for him. Let's just give us an idea. Like how would you set up behind them or to the side of them, or what do you tell them even?
I kind of
Obviously,
want to sit. I want to be able to obviously see, especially you're a caller. You want to watch how those turkeys react to your calling. I want to kind of see what he can see. Are you filming or no filming, or just basically just
no, just forget filming. I'm talking about
space out, be like a good where you can communicate still, especially if you're trying to talk someone through it. I'd say 5-6 yards, as long as you got good cover. But you want to be able to see, everything that he can see or she can see.
right.
And again, if you're calling, you want to have that person kind of, because if they're a newer hunter and they might be moving around a little bit, you don't want to be calling and then all of a sudden they're moving right where that calling's, because he's gonna be pinpointing that calling. The turkey can pinpoint, and it's crazy. Denny Galvis did this. I think it's called pick spot calling, or I forget the terminology. But he had a video back in like the late 80s, early 90s. You could literally, and I've done this before, you literally can call at a spot and you can go back 80 yards and you can just let that turkey do his thing. That gobbler's going to come and he's going to stand where you last called. Stand right on. You put an X on the ground, he's going to stand right on that spot. He can pinpoint exactly where you're at. So you want to kind of be offset a little bit. And same thing decoy setups. Don't put that decoy right in line where you think he's going to come, because there's chances he's going to be looking right at you. Yeah, typically that's how I'd set somebody up. Just get a little bit, good distance away.
Would you typically you'll typically try to call a bird up to you instead of down? You don't want to get below them. You want to give them the vantage point.
I kill turkeys down a hill, but yeah, you want to have them come up. But a lot of times, this is where a lot of public land up here, and you hunt at the same kind of areas of the hills and stuff. Got to be careful. A turkey will use that hill for their advantage, especially an older turkey. Even just a 2-year-old turkey, they get to that crest, and they're going to be looking. A lot of times you might see just a head. You think you saw something. You saw something. You saw the bird and saw you, and he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, there's no doubt. If you saw that turkey and you don't see him anymore, that was a turkey. But they'll use those hills and they'll just crest. I mean, they're not dumb. They're smart, especially hard hunted turkeys up here.
A lot of times people watch videos and they'll think like they're going to gobble and come right to you without looping around you or be getting behind a little ledge.
Yeah.
Or like you said, watching for a couple minutes. Doesn't usually happen that way.
We make video look really good. We try to keep it real to what happened. That's what these GoPros and stuff we have. We try to make it real and whatnot with that.
So let's get into a little bit of and we could anything else pops in your head about turkey hunting tactics, please bring it up. But since you just mentioned filming and stuff, just get into a little bit but just lead us from real quickly like how you started and then like where you progressed to now, because I mean I've known you for a long time and you it's really cool what you're doing, and I follow you and I follow you on Facebook and Instagram or whatever, and it's really cool. But just give us a quick progression of what you're doing now and what you're really enjoying now.
Yeah, so I started. I was about 6 years old, and Uncle Dickie, Uncle Dickie, Richard Kinney, little mom and pop type call building fella down there in Green Township, and he's been in it since the late 80s, early 90s, and we go there on Easter or New Year's Day, or even just some on and off nights, during the summer and whatnot, and we just talk turkey, build turkey calls. He had these little wooden scratchers we'd make and we'd glue up. We'd pick them up the day after, or we'd help cut some latex and stuff like that. But every day we were there for like the holiday, just say Easter, for instance. When we were done eating, he'd take us in the pickup truck, me and my brother, and he'd ride around all the areas. And back then there was tons of birds. And he'd let us look at the birds in the field, and he'd let us call to them. And I always get teary-eyed talking about this, because I remember it like it was yesterday. I had a box call, Purple Heart top on it, and I yelped to a turkey like 20 yards from the truck, and that bird hammered. And he started coming towards the truck, and I was like, at 6 years old, I remember it like it was yesterday. I had a little New York Mets shirt on, knew what I was wearing. But yeah, and just to think of how far like we've all come with this, but I was hooked. I mean, I was hooked, and we were there quite a bit. So summertime, we're there, we're talking turkey. Fall, we're talking turkey. We just was turkey, 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 like to this day. So yeah, I got one. We started filming pretty early too, my brother and I. We had a VHS camera we got from my grandmother and grandfather. The first Rule Tree duct tape that came out, we duct taped the crap out of that camera, and we used that. And we had a little mini 8 or high 8 we used, and I want to say I was like 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there. I dragged the camera around. Me, my dad, my brother, just hooked. I mean, just hooked on it. Yeah, and then we started to. I did a video production in high school. Always kind of wanted to work in the hunting industry, so I'm like, I'm gonna try video. And so I couldn't do hunting videos at school, but did some kind of like little tutorials and stuff like that. And yeah, then I got with Tom Petrie. He's with Film the Hunt. Real big in the hunting industry, and he's given a lot of these field producers and producers a good training kind of start with this whole industry, and got with him back 20 years ago now. We had a small company here in Blairstown, New Jersey, called Drop Time Productions. So I got with them filming, and went from there to filming on my own, a couple buddies, and then I got picked up with Kyle Bearfield, Cole Barthel. At the time, Resistance TV. They're from Alabama, Louisiana. So I got with those guys. Was building some turkey calls for Southern Game Calls at the time. And then, heck, we've been with each other now 10, 11 years now. We've still been filming we have a show, All Things Hunting, we had on Sportsman Channel for about 9 or 10 years, and then we've been pulling it and putting it on, networks. Rule Tree 365 we're on, YouTube, because everything's kind of shifting to that a little bit. TV's still very popular, but we decided to shift it to those platforms, and yeah, I've just been calling competitions and stuff like that. Did the whole spiel with that, and then yeah, it's crazy. It really is. That is really how old you are. I'm going back 20 years.
Yeah.
Jeez. But
I know.
I love it. I mean, I've been doing it a long, long time, and absolutely love it. Yeah.
It's interesting because it just shows you if somebody has focus on what they want to do because they love doing it. Mm-hmm. Not everybody gets there, but I think if you work hard enough at some capacity, you're going to be doing something you love.
For sure. And it's amazing because it's like I have a picture up on the wall there. My dad always laughs. It's because I had friends and family that were like, it's never going to happen. You live in New Jersey, you're never going to work in the hunting industry. It's just not going to happen. Like I'm going to keep pushing. But see, I wanted to do it I don't want to do it for free stuff, or I hate watching myself on TV or anything like that. I want to do it to represent hunting. Hunting's done so much for me growing up, so much for the family. I want to give back, and I want to represent hunting. And that's why I always want to do it. I remember me and Waddell were talking about it back in Nashville, where I first started meeting Michael. I said, because he did the same thing. He was behind the camera a lot, calling contests, and I'm telling Michael, I said, I want to get in the hunting industry, but I want to do it to represent hunting. And he was taken back by it. Like, oh, here's a kid that doesn't want to do it for free stuff or the name or whatever. You want to do it to represent hunting. And we were just talking about that in February. But yeah, no, it's, I love it. I mean, very super passionate about it, but yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. And then, I just watched one of the 365 videos. I guess it was the Hero Hunt.
That was the one we just came back from. Yeah, that was awesome hunt.
Oh, that was recent?
That was just we try to air stuff pretty not. They call it semi-live, but we try to get a hunt, and then Matt from Spring Thunder, he'll produce it pretty quick the week after. That was probably one of the coolest situations as far as a hunt goes. I've done a bunch of charity type hunts and did a wounded veteran hunt for Hunters Helping Heroes with Ryan Miller. Did a couple of those, and actually had a vet just get back from Afghanistan. Took him out like 3 or 4 weeks later. He killed his first turkey. It was a 3-bearded bird, 1.25 hooks, and he's like, "This turkey hunting's great." I'm like, "Dude, you don't know what you just this doesn't happen all the time." but I've done a lot of those hunts, and this hunt, my buddy Stuart Best, he's down at Redstone Arsenal in Alabama. He had a whole plan for this hunt for years. I think it was like 15 years he really wanted to get it going. And known Stuart for a few years. He's like, man, I really want to do this. I was like, you should do it. We could get some sponsors and we'll do it. So Real Tree, Patriot Catfishing, which is a great organization. They donated and had some hunters lined up for us, and it was all special force guys and real just great guys who've been through a lot. It was, if you remember seeing it, is a very tear-jerking testimony.
Oh, yeah.
At the end, it was just, these guys have been through
Really
a lot.
cool.
And the one fella, saying that he had a chance to feel like he's part of the unit again. We were talking to those guys that we knew was important. We knew what it stood for, but when you hear that, you're like, wow, like it really hits you. But that hunt was great. We had 10 veterans, 80% kills the first day. And then we had everybody tagged out the next day. We had Jim McGinn, our vice president of marketing, Real Tree. He killed a turkey there. Guys killed birds. It was a great event. It was a really, really great event. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and we're at the end, as we get, when we wrap this up, we'll tell people where to follow you or whatever and see it. But just me, I mean, I've seen a few things that you did, but you sent me that link, and I guess about a week ago, and I finally sat down and watched. I actually watched it twice right away.
Yeah.
And then I sent it to my buddy Kevin. I'm like, I didn't really tell him what it was, because the ending, like you said, when the guys were talking and they're saying,
crazy.
I felt alive again, and I felt, that's touching stuff. But there's a guy that, the way you guys are filming it, there's a guy that takes a shot before the last bird that goes down. He takes a shot and he misses a bird.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yep.
and he feels, you could tell he feels bad that he missed it.
That's Jim, yeah. Jim again, yep.
And then you guys move. I don't know how far you move or how long it is,
An
but
hour,
now you're in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you got a bird coming at you in the timber,
Thick.
and he cracks
Real
it
thick.
in the thick stuff.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, we stay
and
positive.
I guess, and that's you calling, right, in the
Yeah,
background?
I actually just laid down because the bird was in this field that we've hunted. We called the bird in for a youth hunter, actually Stuart's son, a couple of days before that. So we kind of knew the areas and whatnot. And that turkey, that was an old turkey too. He had inch and quarters, I think, on him. Just an old bird, and he came right. He did what an old bird doesn't do. And again, every time you hunt these birds, you're like, man, my buddy Philip Culpepper, he always has a part of his hunts and why he did what he did. And he'll explain, I don't know why that turkey did that. I still can't to this day. And Jim will text me, or I'll text Jim and say, man, I can't believe that bird did that 2 weeks ago. Like, how did he just come through that thicket? Like, they just don't do that. But you stayed positive, and we made it happen. I mean, it was an awesome event. It was
Cool. And I mean, the filming and everything is just fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. It was a unique place.
It's funny.
Very
What's
unique,
that?
Very unique place.
Yeah.
Everything had to get approved of where we were filming, and we had to go through a lot of paperwork Stuart had to do. Because it's a military base, there's active training there.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't realize that. Okay.
There. Oh yeah, it's an actual. Oh yeah, it's
Okay.
built there. There's a lot of places
And then-
they can use deadly force if you walk in, so you got to make sure you follow those signs.
Yeah.
We had Bert Goblin in one of those, and me, I'm like, man, I think we can get in there. Like, no, it says deadly force. I'm like, but I think we can call them up to it. No, we can't do that. Okay, fine, let's go back to the truck.
Yeah. And I noticed, what are you guys using? I saw you using some mapping stuff. Use any certain
use
programs?
Onyx. Yeah, we
Onyx.
use one of our partners, Onyx. We've been using them for quite a few years now with Roll Tree, and they're awesome. I mean, Onyx is great. There's so many tools with that. I'm still learning it. Tons of new features come out each year with it, property boundaries and whatnot, and we absolutely love using it. We use that a lot. Use it a lot.
Right. And I wanted to just touch base real quick on when you're out there with the gun, what are you using these days?
So we use, for all things hunting, our sponsor's been Browning for quite a few years now. I'm using a Maxis 2. Kyle's using his Maxis, and we use A5 a little bit. We've been shooting Brownings for quite some time now. We use Kicks choke tubes we're using for
Right.
Spring Thunder, Federal TSS we're shooting. and just real good stuff. It's modern. It's come such a long way with some of this stuff they're coming out with.
We were talking about how how it looks like fishing game's doing the right thing with the fall. Giving the birds a break in the fall. What about? What about like in New Jersey? Because there's certain shot size and stuff, but with the new technology,
Yeah.
I mean, I was speaking to Blake Garrett last week, and he's out Midwest. They're shooting birds, like most of a lot of the country with 410s,
Yeah.
and they're reaching out 60 plus yards.
It's crazy.
So
It really is crazy. And I'm glad
yeah,
you touched on that because like I was using TSS. I wasn't using TSS up until like last year. I used just regular lead number fives, 3.5 inch. But now with 3 inch TSS is completely fine. But I had a load made from a buddy Bryce Hensley from Foxtrot Ammo. I did some testing with some loads with the 20 gauge I had, and he
right,
made me. It was during COVID, so he didn't have 3 inch holes at the time. So I had two 2 3/4 inch sevens made, so it was Jersey legal, and it was a 50-yard gun all day. I think the last, I might have shot in one or two birds at like 60, 55, but most of my turkeys are like 20, 25, especially for filming. You want to get them close and whatnot, but if you know your weapon, I mean, it's ethical stuff. I mean, it'll kill a turkey. They just drop. There ain't much flopping anymore, and I like that part of the flopping. I love that. But no, if you're just comfortable with your weapons and whatnot and what you're shooting, you got a pattern. And I had some buddies that were like, my gun don't shoot 40. And like, your gun don't shoot 40. Your pattern's just big at 40 yards. Pattern your gun. And every gun's different. I mean, it might not. I see a lot of guys on Facebook will be like, hey, what choke tube shoots out of this gun with this? Well, you should try it. Get a bunch of choke tubes, and you can sell choke tubes on Marketplace and
well, yeah,
Facebook.
yeah.
So just get a bunch of choke tubes and a bunch of shot, see what your gun shoots. But back on the regulations, I think Dave Blanton, a friend of mine, Rule Tree, he has a little 410, and it's a I bet it's a 50-yard gun all day long.
Right.
He shoots that federal TSS out of it, and it's great. I think it's great for the youth, and it's just nice to carry a light gun every now and then. I got a little Hammer 20. He bought the same gun, that 20 gauge, and it's a great light gun to carry around. And it's fun. It's fun, but you want to shoot it, and if you guys want to put red dots on it and whatnot, go for it. A couple guns set up with red dots, some
Yeah.
barrel, but no, I think it's just crazy to have that amount of density in a shell when you're getting so many pellets, and it's like the size. It's a 9 shot, but like the size of like a 4 or 5. It's just crazy. It's crazy, but it's ethical. I mean, you're really you're putting them down. There's no
The key is what you said. You got to know your weapon.
have to.
And listen, let's face it. We all know people. I mean, and we don't know the same people who've done this, but we've probably both seen whether it's your 410 or your 20 gauge turkey gun or your 12 gauge or your deer gun or your bow. There's plenty of guys that don't know their weapon.
Yeah.
They put a lot of time in, and then shank a shot or something, and
Yeah.
don't know who to blame or what to blame, and then you tell them, well, put an arrow in the target, and only at like 20 yards. Let's see what it does at 20.
Yeah.
They're off by like 9 inches at 20 yards.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and shotguns are the same thing. And I know, like with the way I do my shotguns, I mean, some guys, if they're shimming their weapons or whatnot, they're just shooting regular barrel, like a red dot. Just say red dot. I want to make sure that my aim, I'm putting that red dot on that turkey. Right, actually, I say right where his beak meets his head. At 6 yards, 20 yards, 30, 40, 60, whatever. That's where I'm aiming every single time. So I'll make sure my pattern is hitting like this at 12 or 15, right? And I'm making sure it's there. And the same thing, 25, okay, we're good. That way you are taking a longer shot, 40, 50, 60. You're keeping that out of the breast meat. I mean, we love eating these things.
Yes.
So, and keeping it high, keep it in the vitals, Long distance, I mean, we've killed turkeys with infections with lead in their breasts and stuff. I know it's a far shot, 50, 60-yard shot probably, just because of the impact and how deep it's gone in. But yeah, no, you want to keep it. That's where I target all my red dots if I'm having red dot my turkey guns. Yep.
Yeah, I'm right now. I was shooting an eight. My first gun was an 870. I was given when I was about 10, 12 years old, and used it for everything.
Yeah.
Great turkey gun, great everything gun, right? But talking to you a couple of years back, and it might have been pre-COVID. I don't even remember when the 410.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the 410 rage hit, and we couldn't use them in Jersey.
Yeah.
I went and bought that Stevens 20 gauge, which the gun itself I think was only like $200, but the Burris Fast Fire 3 or whatever was like $300.
Yeah.
But luckily, that choke tube that came with it worked perfect.
Yeah, I got the stock tube.
That gun's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, there's a lot of guys out there. I think Roberts is one of the guys in Georgia, I believe, or somewhere. Some Toy Customs is another company. A guy out in California, believe it or not. They work barrels and lengthening, forcing cones and whatnot. And they do a lot of barrel work, and it's not much, like $100, $200. So you can get 870 shooting amazing. Yeah, it really is. It's crazy the technology and the adjustments that it's made. I mean, I remember when the federal flight controlled wad came out back in, I think it was like late '90s. That was an amazing pattern it threw, and now you're talking some of the stuff they're making now is like, I just got we're shooting federal TSS, like I said, and that stuff is just, they make the blends, and it's really, and Cole in that hunt, if you noticed, he talked about federal shooting those blends in that thickness.
Yes, he
Be able
does.
to pick that out. It's a very good point when he said that.
Yes,
but
he does mention that.
Again, and like you said, going back to what you said, the knowing your weapon. I mean, and patterning guns are fun. You know, it's fun. Get a good. I use the lead sled, and and after I'm done shooting off the lead sled, I will take my last shot is always on my shoulder. On my shoulder, just to confirm everything's lined up and whatnot. But yeah, definitely get a bunch of choke tubes, bunch of shells, and just shoot.
Yeah, and usually a lot of times if you talk to if you're just getting into turkey hunting, or let's say you buy a new gun, usually a lot of your friends, like somebody comes to me, I probably have 5 or 6 different shells that I don't use, that I can give you 1 or 2 or however many I have, so you can try it out in your gun.
Right.
And that's the way.
Mix them up.
There's nothing there beside. It's completely. To be ethical, you got to know where your weapon's going to hit. But there's also nothing better than that day that you get that gun sighted in, and you're going hunting in 2 or 3 days, and you know exactly where that gun's going to go when you pull that trigger, and it's so important.
It is, and I'll do it in the middle of the season too. Like I'm already halfway done with my season. Starting in March, and I'll take another shot tomorrow. I'm going to be shooting a little bit, and then I'll probably shoot before I head up to Maine mid-May. I'll do it again just because I like shooting it. You know what I mean? Seeing that pattern.
Yeah, it's fun.
Making sure, especially if you're shooting red dot, you want to make sure you're right on there. There was I think it was Darren Dye, buddy of mine, out in the PA, West Virginia, Ohio area. He had a new mount I've noticed on a weapon. It was a prototype, and I think they're going to do something with it. It's a red dot on an angle, so you have your iron sights, and that red dot, it's almost like an AR, but it sits right there, and the turn isn't that much. So, and it's a red dot. I just saw him post it the other day. I mean, that'd be something.
That's pretty
something
cool.
New that's going to come out, and I probably would end up setting 1 or 2 of my guns up with that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Because there's time. I mean, listen, anything could happen to the red dot. Let's face
fog.
it.
We had a foggy gobbler hunt. We just posted on Rule Tree 365. Me and my buddy Jason's hunt 2 years ago. He even said, he goes, man, I had to clean my lens, but the turkey was like 20 yards away on my red dot going like this, and I got fogged up and whatnot. But no, some guns I have, I just like my Maxxis 2. That's just straight barrel. Pattern's really good. But yeah, like I said, I got some red dots on there and whatnot.
I was always just a bead guy. All I needed was a bead for turkey. And, I knew where the gun was going to throw the lead. Now with the TSS and the red dot, or the, what do they call it, a reflex sight I'm using? Is that what yeah. It's pretty incredible, but it's I'm not really a modern technology guy. And sometimes, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like, you're in nature, you're making calls, you're doing, and all of a sudden I got this red dot in front of me.
is.
It's kind of odd, but that gun comes with a lousy bead on it, so
Yeah.
I couldn't use it.
Yeah.
But it's probably the only gun I have that has any technology to it.
I swapped
But it's
some
pretty
these
cool.
out with the high vis. I'll take in a lot of the high vis sets. I think they're $20, $30. I'll put a high vis in there. I'll just take the bead out. I'll thread the new because it comes with a bunch of different threads. I'll put a bunch of high vises on my guns. Actually, I swapped out So next week we're hoping to film for World Tree Spring Thunder. We're gonna kill a turkey with my grandfather's A5, which is
Oh yeah,
70s. We're hoping. We're gonna make it happen. But I put a high vis. Actually, I got to shoot the gun tomorrow. Make sure I'm on there. But I put a high vis on. And we're gluing it on there. So that'd be a pretty cool hunt. But
that is cool. One thing we can't end without talking about you. You make some incredible calls, man, and I've been lucky enough to use your calls, and I've been lucky enough to be at that man cave right there, or workshop, whatever you want to call it, and watch you hold a conversation and somehow not smash your fingers with that machine as you're going through calls, bent frames, and then cutting. Give us just so people know. In my opinion, you probably make the best calls, mouth calls at least, that I know of. And my experience is minor compared to other people. I just delivered 4 of your calls in a Ziploc bag to a friend of mine. He started using your calls years ago, and I think I actually bought him to your house
yeah,
once, my friend Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'd love to come and see you again
Yeah.
because
Anytime. We're here.
he can't believe how good those calls work, how easy they run, and how they last.
Yeah.
He used to throw a call out like every week.
Oh yeah.
Now he's getting through a season, and
yeah.
and the only reason he's throwing them out is because I'm giving him new ones.
Yeah.
But so
to
your
do
call,
that.
just touch real. I mean, we guess you got into the call making with your uncle. It sounds like.
Yeah, we were
But-
building a long time ago. He used to give me some handfuls of latex back. I mean, I was, again, mouth calls I probably was doing like 12, 10, somewhere in there. And then 18, 19, I started really making them. I'm 39 now. It's crazy. Man, it's crazy how fast life moves with this. But yeah, so I
Still young.
I built, I built it, what I built, like 5,000, 7,000 calls for Southern Game calls, and we had.
Is that lifetime or this year?
No, that was just years ago when I first started.
Right.
I thought, man, like I'm big time. I'm building 5,000 mouth calls. I'll do 5,000 calls in a week and a half now. Yeah, so I've been building a long time there, and calling contests help with that because you want to build your own calls. And I think this year we did 111,000 calls.
Wow, that's incredible.
Game calls. Been with them for about 4 years now. Yeah, Monty Bennett. He's one of the big owners there, and he's a good friend of mine over the years. And I remember him telling me at ATA show years back, maybe like 6 years now, 7 years. He goes, Virga, I got something in the works, and I'm taking you with me. And I'm always like, you hear that in the hunting industry, like okay, but no, for Monty, look, God, what's he got going on? And then he's right. I mean, 4 or 5 years now, he put a lot of faith in me, and we're designing some good calls together. And we got a really great team there with Michael, Stewart, and Justin, and all the guys there. But we're got Walmart, Bass Pro, so we're building pretty much year round. Got a little bit of break now. We just got hit with some orders last week, so I'm trying to get these out before we travel. But yeah, 110, 111,000 calls I think we just did from this
Wow,
year.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
And you sometime you got, I don't know if you ever did it, but I know there's some footage out there, but of you making the calls. But
Yeah.
people would be blown away if they saw how fast you go through
Crazy,
them.
yeah.
Everything gets tension just by your feel, right? You're just you're pulling it, you're feeling it, and you're
I have
hitting
a
it.
gauge there. So my buddy Thad Bright from Feather Ridge, he's been building presses. He's the reason why where we're at as far as the modern mouth call goes. He's building these presses that are just, I mean, unbelievable. I'm not even air press for the amount of calls we're building. Every time, actually, I joke around. Every time I see him on his Facebook post, he'll have like 8 or 9 presses he's selling. I'm like, nah, stop doing that. you're taking money out of my pocket or food out of my kids' mouths. But we always joke. I love to see his success. But he really builds an awesome product. And it's consistent. And consistent is huge. Like you and I were talking about, having a consistent mouth call. Because you may have these mouth calls here. Somebody might like it. And all of a sudden, companies are discontinuing them. Well, this person ran this call and he was comfortable with it. So you want to be able to go on the shelf and grab 2 or 3 more the next year or that same month and be able to run them, right? But the biggest thing for me, and I don't want to say guys are secretive with tensions and whatnot, but how I first started back in, I think I just graduated high school, I was kind of really, like I said, really kind of starting to make more. I had about 5 or 6 different calls, and I kind of they're all different tensions, same cut, and I would have, a few whether it was a seasoned veteran caller, my dad who's terrible at calling, my brother, another friend who's good, bunch of guys, different qualities in calling, right, different skill sets. And I said, come back at the end of the season, come back with the call that you think you can run like the best out of all of them, right? And I bet you, say there's like 8 or 9 guys, I bet you 7 of those guys came back with, like, say, letter C. They all came back to that one call. So that's where I'm starting my tension on, right? So you keep attention, everybody can run a call, and you keep that, that consistency and that quality, and for some calls you want a little tighter, some calls you want a little bit looser, but you keep that stretch right there. More people are going to like it. You want people to be efficient in calls. You want to run good calls. But now that's really kind of how I got into making, that call that's comfortable for everybody. It's just from that technique right there.
Yeah, I mean, everybody that I've gave some of your calls to are just blown away by it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's extremely easy to use,
Yeah.
and to sound decent. Until you can only sound great if you practice.
Right.
Yeah. Nobody picks up a mouth call and sounds like a turkey.
No, it takes a long time. It takes a real long time. And like you said, with the CD and all this stuff on YouTube, I had my TV running before. I had Chad Claycom's roost footage from the last couple of years, Turkeys on a Limb, just going. And there's so much out there. There's so much out there. Even a lot of just shows. I mean, you could watch Philip Culpepper, Hunt Club. He's got a lot of good stuff on there. Real good turkey caller. Michael, Bone Collector, all them guys. Road Trips. Dave Owens, Pinotti Project. He's a great turkey hunter. A lot of good networks, good platforms, and good folks out there that you can learn. You can learn from watching these guys. But again, you got to get boots on the ground. You got to get out there. And again, the footage and cameras, we kind of make it look, we make it look easy. It isn't easy. But yeah, you got to just practice, just like with anything. Just practice. Practice makes perfect. And the truck's the best time of doing it, too.
Oh, yeah, it's the best. Yeah, I'll pull up to a light and I'll have a call hanging out of my mouth. I'll look over at somebody. What the hell is that?
It's funny. If I can get back with my teachers from high school, I bet you there's about a dozen mouth calls they had in their desks. I bet you.
Taking them away from you?
Miss Hain or Miss Tadona, I think is her married name now. I had to ask her. I remember seeing her around. I remember she took 1 or 2 out of and had to put it in her desk. A lot of yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to wrap it up soon. You're making, beside the mouth calls, which you're kind of famous for making, you're making pot calls and box calls now?
Yeah, and I've always been around it with Uncle Dickie's shop. I just, growing up, we had a basic, jigsaw, but it did most of our wood stuff there whenever we were there. But now that I have my shop built and I have my own wood shop, it was a childhood dream of mine. Now I have a place to actually do it. But I had a couple buddies before I had my shop built. Jason Powell, Dustin Jones. I'd say, hey, I designed this can you guys run this for me or hollow this out for me, send it back, and we'll see what it sounds like. Yeah, it runs good, whatever. But now I'm doing my own here instead of sending it back and forth. Again, those guys always were big help in Sean Tachi, Pat Strasser, all those guys kind of, into kind of helping everybody out and guys getting started and giving good feedback and whatnot. But now I've been building for quite some time now. But in my own shop, I've been building here for like 2 years. But yeah, the pots are just, I mean, this is a pot for my buddy Jason and his dad.
That is that one that
This
you
is
made?
one, yeah, I just finished. This is canary wood. We just, again, the metal ceiling doesn't help, but it'll scream. I
Sounds
had it
good.
outside before, but no, and I love building mouth calls. I'll be building mouth calls probably till midnight tonight, but I just love the wood calls, and that's just fun. I mean, it's fun hollowing out box calls and having it there. You're like, man, I'm gonna kill a turkey with that, or someone's gonna call a turkey in for their son. You know, and even mouth calls. We were talking about that. Got a pretty good team here building. They help build Sarah and Jeremy Westerkamp. They help stack latex. I got Josh and Dustin come with the taping part of it, and we were talking about it the one day. We're like, man, like this is Walmart right here where we grew up. You know, where people said it wasn't going to happen. You know, and we're building a mouth call that could be used in Iowa. You know, somebody taking their grandson out. Like, I love that part. You know, I don't think like, where's this call going to go? You know what I mean? Where's it headed to? And nah, that's just the coolest part to me. That is the
It's
coolest
amazing. Yeah, you're making memories that'll last a lifetime for people you don't even know.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
Exactly.
awesome. Yeah, you know, and the only bad thing you got, Anthony has, for those watching the video, what you're seeing behind him is part of his shop and his man cave, man. But he's got one hell of a building there. I mean, that place is beautiful. You have to shoot footage at some point
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
of you guys working
oh, yeah,
there.
no, yeah, for sure.
It's awesome. I mean, if you know, and the only bad thing is when I went to, when you used to be in the house there, you started showing me some of the box calls that you like to collect.
Oh, yeah.
And then before you know it, I'm like, you know what?
Appreciate
So now even I own a Matt Van Sice
yeah.
box call,
Yeah,
which is
probably,
incredible.
Man, I got probably 5 or 6 of Matt's calls. Matt's a really good friend of mine, and Matt, honestly, to this day, is probably the one who's helped me the most in calling mouth call wise in competitions. I don't really do too many competitions now. I did the teams this past year. I might get back into it. You might see me dabble back into it. But Matt, to me, he's helped me out so much with just mouth call. And we'll call and we'll talk here and there with Matt. But no, he makes some awesome calls. Pat Strasser makes some awesome box calls, and I got to be careful if my wife watches this because I'm probably going to want to buy another one of these. This 4-year wait list.
Yeah.
You know, Pat's got a long wait list for some of these, but if guys are watching and they collect calls, Pat Strasser, Matt Van Sice, Scott Bayshore, guys like that, Irving Witt, you know, a lot of good collector calls. And man, I spent some money on a lot of these box calls, but that's a passion. It's like guys collecting, you know, wooden duck decoys and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Carve.
Yeah, or my Matt Van Sice call comes out once in a while, like when I'm in the vest, but because you got to use
have
it,
to.
but it gets packed back up nicely. You got it there?
No, this is a Pat Strasser. I talked to Pat a couple weeks ago. I said, man, I really don't want to use this. I think he said run it till the wood falls off or something like that. But it's it's a single lady, single sided box call, and I mean it's just. To me, it's probably the best sounding. Again, the ceiling is not very acoustic, but it's probably the best sounding box call I have in my 100 box call collection. But no, if you can get a hold of those guys and get on their lists and stuff like that, but no, they're just amazing calls. I try not to bring it out, but I always got that thing with me. I had Matt's long box. I use that for cutting on it. A lot of guys think it's just a key long box, but I cut on that sucker. I bring that thing in the Springwoods, and actually called bird my buddy Jason and his dad 2 years ago with that thing down there. But you try not to bring them out, but those guys want you to. Is my point. Those guys want you to bring it out and kill turkeys with it. It's an art. It's an art.
It is an art, and they're craftsmen and artists making them. You know, you could be into striper fishing, and you might be into buying plugs, wooden plugs that are just made by artists and guys that care. These are the guys that are in the turkey world.
Exactly.
They're the best of the best, you know. And I love the picture. Matt posted a picture once on his site of his fist, like a black and white with all the championship rings on it.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Yeah,
man. Yeah.
Matt is just he's soft spoken guy. He knows turkey.
Yeah.
Another guy, Denny Galvis. All those guys are just really. I mean, Doug Herman. Doug spends a lot. Doug spends probably more time with wild turkeys than everybody I know, other than Denny Galvis. Um, he's out in Nebraska. Real good dude. Actually, he's got a lot of good footage that anybody can really. It's a Yelpaholic, Doug Herman. Yeah, he's got so much out there as far as roost and just turkey vocalizations. Good Jake yelping, but he'd be a good person. Look on there and
Cool.
follow for good calling. And listen to all turkeys and stuff like that. There's so much out.
All right. What about you? Where can people follow you?
We
Like,
got
what do you like
a
people
lot of
to
our
go
stuff
on?
right now.
What page?
All Things Hunting TV. That's on Realtree 365 app, and then Realtree Spring Thunder. We do a lot of turkey hunting for the Spring Thunder, obviously, hence the name. We got a couple hunts lined up next week, and then we got the New York trip we do. I don't know if you've seen footage of that yet. That was from last year, Adirondack, stuff like that. And then we're gonna go up to Maine this year for Spring Thunder, and then the season will be over, and then we'll be depressed again, and nobody will want to talk to me
Yeah.
until February. We joke around about it, Cole, Kyle, and I. I'll call them in like November. Say, hey guys, we've got to start planning because we have some of next spring already planned already. For the show and stuff. We want to make sure we got the stuff lined up, and not now, Virga. I got a rifle. I'm hunting the rut. Or Virga, just stop talking about turkeys. I was like, well, it's December. We're getting there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun, just good fun. But
Yeah. Well, we're gonna wrap it up, Ant. I wish you all the best with the rest of your season, and it's been nothing but a pleasure. I always enjoy talking to you, whether this is the first time on here,
so we
but
gotta
in
share a
person
tree
as well.
sometime. We gotta try to make something.
Yeah, definitely, man. Are you kidding me? It would be an honor for
We
me.
can hunt afternoons or something. Just
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be awesome. But thanks a million for coming on here and talking to everybody. And we're gonna there's a lot you unpacked a lot there.
there's
So
more. Yes, so much.
oh, I
Till
can tell.
midnight, we can keep going.
I know. Well, let's let people get a grasp of what we just went through, and then maybe I'm sure we'll be talking
for
turkey
sure.
again. Maybe we'll do some deer
Anybody
hunting
can
or
reach
deer
out
talking.
and ask questions. I get back to people on Messenger pretty quick and stuff like that.
Definitely. And where can people buy some of the calls that you're making now? Or
I'm not. I have a little bit of a list for guys for pot calls that want pot calls.
right.
But just the bone collector, you can check
Just
the
ha-
website, Amazon, Walmart,
Yeah.
local, stuff like
Okay,
that.
good.
And
Good.
yeah. Yep.
All right. All right, Ant. I'm going to say goodbye to you. I'm going to say thank you again. And people now got to meet you. For those that don't know you, and those that know you, said he's only just beginning with this conversation.
That's right.
All right. Cool. Thanks, Ant. Okay. Take care.
Bye.